The true story of the emperor's new clothes. The silly emperor wanted a huge pool, but he couldn't because he didn't have any space. So he'd been wrecking down stuff in the town. But the one thing was the tailor shop. They grew poor, and then they scam him by giving him new clothes. You know the rest of the story. Bye-bye. The Little Red Hen. There's Mouse and Pig and the Goose. Once upon a time, there was a little red hen who said, "Can you plant a seed for me?" And Mouse said, "No, I gave my other friends a bellyache from yucky berries." The hen said, "Can you harvest with me?" And they said, "No," said Goose. "We are covered in hair and itchy from sheep hair. Would you help me grind the wheat?" "No," said Pig. "We're muddy from building my fence around my house." She said, "I don't want my neighbors to bake and eat it. I'm eating it myself, and I'm baking it myself." So she did. And they were so sad, and they wanted it because it looked so good and it smelled so good. And they were thinking, we shouldn't have lied. The end. You might know the story of Chicken Licken. Once upon a time, there was Chicken Licken, and an acorn hit it on her head. And then she told all her friends, "The sky is falling." And they were like, "Oh no, let's hide." So they hid it in a cave of a fox. And then an acorn hit his head. And then they said, "Is it just an acorn?" And then they said, "Yeah, let's go home." But the sky really did fall down, but just the clouds. And then they got stuck in them. And then the wolf said, "Time for dinner." And then he ate them. The end. Once upon a time, there was 3 bears and Goldilocks. Baby Bear wanted to go to school, but he didn't have a book bag. He asked their parents, but they said, "No, we don't think so." So they go to Goldilocks' house. And Goldilocks wasn't home, but her pet was home, and that was a cat. And it climbed up in a tree. And they were like, "Nah, let's get that cat when we're done getting a backpack." They searched the whole house, but they didn't find a backpack. Then the mama bear saw fashion, and she was like, "What?" And she clapped her hands 3 times. "Let's try these on." And she didn't know what to wear first. After that, they were eating all the food in the refrigerator. And then she opened the refrigerator and said, "Oh, there's ice cream. Let's have dessert." And she clapped her hands 3 times again. And then they ate it. And then they go to sleep on the floor. Then Goldilocks came from school and she said, "I'm back." And then she saw and she ran away. The end.